Okay. As far as I am aware, we are now live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are going to be kicking off session number 13 this evening of Beneath the Banner's Shadow, our Arthurian, English, German-based 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons campaign. Tonight's episode will be titled Good-Hearted People. We are down a player this evening. Good luck to Eli in his endeavors, and hopefully we will see him very, very soon. But I do have 4 other usuals sitting around. So before I get things started here, I will go ahead and pass it over to them so that they can introduce themselves, plug whatever they would like, etc., and then we will get things started. So first up, we have Baron. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Yes, I look forward to some more content back on the old RWD. All right, next up we've got Josh. Well said, Josh. Absolutely. All right. Next up, we have Karen. Good things, I'm sure. I'm sure it's just good things abound for everyone. Last, but certainly not least, we have Steve. Me too, very much. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a shift in, I guess, where the focus of the game has been the last several episodes. And I think it'll be a good shift. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So, I also want to thank Rachel Ayers. She is the artist who has done all of the shield designs. You can now see them more frequently. You can see all of the people's house shields represented. She did several of the designs for these, as well as the shield designs that you'll see throughout. She was a wonderful artist to work with, and she's also a pretty kick-ass person, so check her out. Oh yeah, I just said ass. By the way, there's adult language and mature content on this channel. If that's the kind of thing that bothers you, nope, you gotta go. Sorry. See? Let's see. Damn it. Close it down. Let's just, yeah, well, if you're starting here... Yeah, if you're starting here, this is the first place where you're hearing this, then, well, shame on you for starting with session number 13. So, as far as I can tell, I think that's everything business-wise that we need to cover before we can get started. So, are you ready? Oh, yes. I am still very new to UBS. See how new I am? To OBS, so bear with me. We are taught that morality is a black and white matter. This is right and correct. That is wrong and terrible. One vile act undoes a lifetime of decency. However, a wicked person cannot redeem themselves by a single righteous deed, no matter the purity of its intentions. The truth is that morality is every bit as complex as any other aspect of life. There are moments when a villain is revealed to have simply been misguided in their approach. And there are moments when good-hearted people must do something morally abhorrent in order to serve a greater cause. You have found yourself in the town of Elon. Friar Brahmi Catawald has brought you here to this coastal village to show you his gratitude for rescuing him on the road. You have arrived, and he has brought you into the town towards this tavern, this place that kind of serves as a meeting place and a drinking hall and a mess hall, kind of all in one. You can see the city of Vykaril in the distance, further north along the coast. The accommodations here are simple looking, but many people wear a smile, and they seem to greet each other genuinely with some amount of warmth. You can see that on full display when there's a seeming altercation developing between Tord and a local man who has walked up to him and tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Well, would you look at this big son of a bitch?" Toward you turn around and you see a man that you have not seen in some time. A blonde man with kind of tousled hair, and he bears the look of a fighter. He's broad of shoulder, and he has this crinkle in the corner of his eye, this crow's foot, that you know it means he's not truly upset or angry. That there's a jest hiding beneath the surface. Whenever you turn around and look at him, he waits for you, just not saying anything. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Yes, I do. Now I see it now. Hmm. Weird. Okay, hang on a second. Let me see if I can figure out what's going on. See what happens when Jeremy tries to be all fancy? Man, I have no idea. I have no idea what happened with y'all's sound. I don't know why it's not coming through. Oh no. I don't know. Maybe. That would be awesome. I did at the very, very beginning, before we went live. What happens if I do that? Okay.
Hey, most of the time it works, almost every time.
That might.
There's a reason why it's a classic.
Exactly.
See if the audience can hear you guys now, because I'm getting a reading on y'all's audio now.
I've got a...
Yep, I can hear us now.
Okay, sweet.
All right.
Hey, we made it.
We're big time.
Everybody.
So we were just discussing how I got like 5,000 gold.
And then immediately lost it.
Weird.
Weird.
Okay. So
Okay, let's remute.
All right, sorry everybody. Now for real. The audience, I think, heard everything that I just went through, and I think you all, as players, heard it. So no need to repeat any of that stuff. Luckily, there wasn't much said in character yet. So this man has just tapped you on the shoulder, toward, and you have turned around and have seen a familiar face.
Well, isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? And I'll give him kind of a shove on the arm.
He takes like a half step back before he kind of catches his weight on his back foot. Your strength is pretty considerable, and even though he may have been expecting it somewhat, he certainly was not prepared for as hard of a shove as you gave him. And he kind of laughs for a second and says, "Toad, you son of a bitch, come here." And he kind of comes in and grabs a hold of you and pulls you into an embrace.
Oh, yeah. Manly and affectionate and completely platonic. Hug this man.
He finishes embracing you and kind of pulls you at arm length and kind of slaps you on the shoulder a couple of times. But then his eyes kind of drift over through the rest of your group until they come to settle on Ariana Shial. And the grin that he's been wearing since he's seen you completely melts from his face.
What? You got something to say?
What?
right here.
Sorry. What are you doing here?
Could ask you the same question.
Well, as it so happens, Tord, I'm the Reeve of Elin. I run the town.
No shit. Who's the wise guy that gave you the power here?
I often ask myself the same question, but I don't use the word wise.
Ah, don't sell yourself short. You always had a good head between your shoulders.
Well, it's about all that I have that seems to work right these days. So, what are you doing here?
Well, we've managed to stir quite a hornet's nest back in Cornwall.
Cool. Yes, sir. I heard that the Baron was sick. Something? Was dying?
Well, he's quite alive now.
Good. All we need is a vacuum of power again.
You know, the plights of nobles and ladies.
Yeah, it's way more than I want to get involved in.
You and me both.
So, you travel with strange company. He kind of eyes Ariana Shial again.
What are you talking about, Eddard? He's wearing glasses, mate. There's nothing to be offensive about.
No, not exactly what I meant. Where's my man is? I'll buy you a drink. Come in.
That's what I like to hear. And I like grab him vigorously by like my arm over his shoulders and come on, show me this town you so apparently run.
He takes you inside the inn, and you find seating. Again, it's modest at best. It's quaint in here. But it's comfortable. And the friar has come in and joined you, and he has told Thomas that he has to buy you drinks first, at the very least. And he's also looking to pay for your room and board here at the inn if you wish to stay in Elin. He kind of regales what's happened on the road with the troll and his cart. And Thomas seems a little troubled by this, but just kind of listens more than anything, shaking his head like he's just kind of absorbing the information. Yeah, I'm going to fix the overlay here in just a second. One of the cameras got turned off. Okay. Oh, the one thing that I did want to say before we kind of launched into this scene is at some point all of you would have heard the friar refer to the black cat that is still traveling with him. You would have heard him refer to the cat as being named Vanwa. That's a name that you would absolutely recognize. And this creature, again, doesn't look like a simple black cat to you, though it does to everyone else.
If I recall correctly, he had the face of a bird. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll pull it up real quick. So, this creature you saw with him kind of out on the road, and the creature seems to be hanging around still. Seems to be very keen on occasionally coming over to you, and, well, there you go, on cue. Rubbing up against your leg, things of that nature. Thanks, cat.
Can't make this stuff up.
Okay, so, at some point, he's going to go outside with the friar and talk just a little bit. And while they're doing that, the four of you have noticed that Sir John has kind of grown quiet, and he doesn't seem to be feeling well. He's got a cough, and he's kind of pale looking. He's awake, but he's not very responsive. So, while you guys are discussing amongst yourselves, I'm going to fix the overlay.
I'm going to almost picture that there's like a bench against the wall. There's kind of seats around the table. And I am going to sit next to Ari and lean in mildly close after they walk away. I don't really like the way he looked at you.
Why, Tord? I didn't so much like the way he looked at me either, but you know what? It's a look that I've grown used to over the past few years.
Me as well. Sir Thomas is a good man. I'd rather not see any kind of conflict come between us and he.
Well, I won't be starting any,
No,
but I will warn you.
certainly not.
If he starts
No,
it, I will be finishing it for sure.
This is the only reason why I'm even bringing it up in the first place. I really would like to not be the problem in this town. I know what you're saying, and I agree. Let's tiptoe. Please.
I can do that for you. How do you know him anyway?
He and I go back. We've fought side by side in a few skirmishes. Knew his family a bit.
And now he's what he says, a reeve in this town. So he's important.
We all kind of knew he'd be able to do something. Too smart to be a road knight. Suiting, really.
Well, I will be keeping a low profile. At least
Thank
for
you.
you.
I appreciate it. Imagine I'm positioned for convenience in between Ariana Shiel and Dane. Now, like, leaning to the other side. So John's looking a little peaked.
Yeah. Look at his hands. They're a bit swollen.
He's been trembling since it stopped raining.
You think it's those the mushrooms? The ones that healed his father. Maybe there's something to them, you know? Bad reaction.
I was just gonna say maybe he's a little sick from the rain. Shitty weather.
Nah, I've seen him. I've seen him in bad weather before. He just flops his wet mane around and still cries out, but this is different. He hasn't said anything.
Think it's the stress.
I mean, his dad did just murder someone for him.
Yeah.
Are we going to be here for a bit?
Well, I'd at least like to get some warm food in us. Stay off the road for a minute.
Maybe your friend could oblige us with a room here.
I believe Friar Brahmi said
Yes.
that he would provide lodging for a night.
Mhm.
Well, depending on how long we decide to stay, we got one night at the very least.
Well, let me see if I can convince him to retire then. I mean, I'm sure he wants to sit down here and well, I'd say tell fun stories or regale us with his acts of heroism, but I mean, we all saw that, right?
I think sleep is what he needs.
Well, if he won't go willingly, you may have to carry him.
A smirk crosses towards face. He's already sick, mate. I don't want to emasculate him anymore.
I can get Ari to carry him, but that
I'd
might
watch.
be worse.
I'd watch that.
So I will go over and coax Sir John up to a room and dump him into it, as it were.
Absolutely. And this inn is the kind of place where there's probably like 2 rooms, and they're more like common spaces. You know, they've got like 5-6 beds in them a piece, kind of thing. So you guys can take. Neither one of them is claimed at the moment. There's not a lot of travelers here. The friar seems to have a local place to stay, probably a cathedral, not a cathedral, but a small shrine. But you could either have it to where, you know, Ari has a room, and then the rest of you take the other room, or however you want to divide it up.
In fairness, at this point, we've all bled together and killed together. Sleeping in the same room, probably safer.
No.
So
Put Sir John alone. I'm not getting sick. He's hacking and wheezing over there. I can see it right now.
I'll push a bed into the corner for him. And so yeah, I'll go talk to the innkeep and tell him that the friar has arranged that he'll take care of our lodging for the evening, and I'll put Sir John to bed, and I will like push his bed like into a corner.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and they'll give you, a bowl of heated water and, a clean cloth and that kind of things if you want to kind of tend to him and make sure that he's kind of set up as best he can. They'll do what they can to try to help. Maybe brew some tea with some kind of roots in it or something. But yeah, you can absolutely get him squared away in the corner of the room. About that time, while Dane's probably doing that, Thomas returns and kind of sits down. He says, "Sorry about that, Tord. Business is business."
I understand.
Oh, was the other two not staying for drinks or dinner?
Our traveling companion feels a little ill from the road. Thinks some rest will do him good.
Aye, yeah. Well, in that case, he kind of waves the barkeep. Two ales.
How rude of me. Let me introduce you to my friends. This is Sir Edward Bainton. He comes from lands far to the north.
Another night.
This is...
Sir Edward Bainton.
No, I'm not a knight.
Oh, well. He kind of
Forgive me. Ignorance to your formalities.
Bainton.
Pardoned. Edward Bainton of Warrenton. It's a pleasure.
Warrenton. You're a step or two out of your farmlands.
Just a reach. We've been traveling together for some time.
He kind of looks at you, Tord. You were traveling near, and then he stops and sees Ariana Shial again. Yeah, I suppose it makes sense that you've been north.
This is Oriana Shiel.
Yeah, we've met. Though, the last time we met, I don't believe I got your name.
The posture that Tord has taken was like very like involved, and now it's like withdrawn and looking at Ariana Shiel, like very not betrayed but confused.
Eddard was taking a sip of ale, and when he said under his breath that they had met, he just and he kind of looks over.
Ari looks at you, Tord, when you look at her, and she is also got this confused expression on her face. And she looks at the man. I've never met you. Who are you? I mean, besides the reeve of this place.
She don't even remember. He holds his hand up, his sword hand, what was once his good sword hand. And there's a scar that appears from beneath his sleeve and comes all the way up between the two, like the middle finger and ring finger knuckles. And it's a bad enough scar that you can tell it's caused him issues. His fingers are splayed out, and these two fingers are not quite able to fully extend all the way. You remember this?
Well, that looks fairly nasty, but what is it supposed to mean to me?
You know, the funny things about elves is you don't ever look any different. When you age, you look exactly the same. Makes sense, I guess, maybe that you don't remember my face, but I would have thought that you remembered doing this to me.
No,
It was even with that same damn sword that you've got.
now, sir, you have the advantage here, because apparently you know me, but I don't know you, and I don't know what you're talking about. I've never been this far south before.
Look, whatever your story is, whatever you want to tell yourself that you can sleep tonight, that's fine. That's fine with me. But I remember you. I remember your face. I remember what you did to me, what you took away from me.
No,
Why don't you explain it to me so I understand?
You came upon my sister and I in the woods while I was disciplining a horse that had run off with her on its back. You decided, I suppose, to teach me a lesson. And it's a lesson that I will bear for the rest of my days.
I think at that, Tord, you probably notice it because you're sitting right beside her, but Ari grows a little stiff, a little bit more straight as he mentions a young girl and a horse.
You never told me Zara was there when that happened.
He kind of seems a little like taken out of the animosity that he was feeling. Yeah, she's the one who brought me back. Made sure that I got my hand taken care of.
You know, for your younger sister, she did a lot more taking care of you than you ever did for her.
It's never been more
Always.
painfully obvious to me than it is now.
My, like, gray, greenish skin kind of takes on a lighter hue, pale. I'm kind of fidgeting with the table. Perhaps now's not the time.
No, you're right. You never really said what you're doing here. What are you doing out this far?
Well, like I said, we had some problems back in Kerwar, and it seems that perhaps the events that take place in one town ultimately have a greater effect in the kingdom at large. Politics.
I see. Yeah, there's it's kind of hard times for a lot of people.
That seems to be the echo of the country.
Well, at least there's going to be a festival soon. Are you going to the Marriage for the festival of Lamasad? The harvest next month? There's to be a
I
tournament.
don't know. You can hear Tord like begin to say like, no, probably not. A tournament.
Yeah, a tournament. There's even going to be melee, which is what I would have loved to be competing in.
Can't win them all. Shit, you gotta let me win sometime.
From what I remember, you didn't need a lot of help, Tord.
Still managed to outmaneuver me. A few times at least.
Time or two, yes. You should go. I'd like to see you compete.
I think I'd like to. Been real serious lately.
You might need to, he kind of, like, reaches over and taps a knuckle on the hollow of your shield. Ding, ding. You might want to, repaint the old, shield there.
I think this is probably the first time Tord has actually looked at his shield, like, with any kind of critique. It's chipped. It's battered. You know, there's large portions of the green field that are just kind of like the boards of the shield. Well, I've got a month.
Yep. Hopefully you can learn to paint in that time.
Hopefully I can learn to swing a sword.
So, it's good to see you again, Tord.
You as well.
Do you still carry that damn doll around? The one of Zero's.
I might have it.
I never could understand your connection to the damn thing after she was gone. It was an ugly thing. Always never sat right with me, but
I don't expect it to.
You seem to take a liking to it, and I hope.
Well, to be honest, there isn't much left of that time. At least I can carry this pot with me.
I understand, of course. He kind of looks to you, Ari. You're traveling with Tord, so I mean you're no harm. You're safe here. You're welcome to stay. But don't expect any friendly chatter.
Thomas. Oh, pardon me, Ariana.
Ari just kind of nods to Thomas. She doesn't say anything, but she acknowledges what he has just said to her.
Yeah, and you can tell, like, him saying this, he's definitely swallowing a lot of pride and a lot of, resentment in order to come this far. What were you saying, Josh?
Sir Thomas, if it wouldn't be too much trouble, I'm actually trying to learn as much about the culture of Vykaril as I can. Would you mind telling me some more about the festival?
I was never very good at my studies, but yeah, the festival of the festival of Lamasad. It's when everybody harvests the fields and they bring it all in and celebrate the last days before it starts getting cold and bloody miserable. That kind of thing.
I see. Fascinating. I've heard of similar festivals from similar regions. Strange how cultures have different perspectives on certain things such as those.
Well, for the most part, we may look different, and we may act different in a lot of ways, but deep down, most of us are really we just want a warm bed, warm belly, a few laughs, a dry place to sleep at night. We're not that different.
Understood. And thanks, by the way, for the drinks.
You're welcome. Our friar makes some pretty good brew, if I do say so myself.
I'll say.
Well, I suppose just enjoy the hospitality. I'll be around if you have any questions. At that moment, you hear the approach of wagon wheels outside and a team of horses. The driver brings the steeds up to a stop. Whoa, whoa! You hear muffled talking from outside. Sir Thomas has gotten up and crossed to the window of the alehouse and kind of looked out, and you can see the entire demeanor of his body change. He slopes his shoulders for a moment, and you see his head kind of dip, and then his shoulders kind of tense, and you can hear the leather of his gloves kind of creak as he makes fists a few times.
They rode rather close.
You hear talking outside, and a person enters the tavern, and he wears the livery of a knight and the armor of a knight. But he's getting on in his years and is missing the majority of his teeth. He has a kind of twisted, gnarly kind of countenance about him. And his eyes are kind of recessed and dark. The entire establishment goes quiet whenever he walks in. And he kind of looks around, kind of scratches his chest a couple of times. Right, bring me a cask and put it on the table right there. He kind of moves over and lowers himself onto a bench. The barkeep immediately sets to task and Thomas Kane turns around and looks at the group of you. There's almost a mixture of shame or embarrassment. He appears to be almost apologetic. But also there's kind of this seething rage that's kind of mixed with it at the same time.
Can I like look at him in a way that maybe be like reminiscent of our days on the battlefield, where it's like, you know, I'm acknowledging your plight? I don't know if this is like something that would be persuasion, maybe,
To try to
give him the like the I'll back you up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with like persuasion. That's fine.
Natural one.
Right. So you kind of give him this look that has all of this meaning in subtext, and he kind of furrows his brow at you, like, and then just shakes it off and goes back to kind of approaching this man. And he says, Sir Least, you weren't supposed to be back until next week. And this kind of almost toothless man, now filling a tankard, sloppily spilling it everywhere, looks up at him with no respect, no fear, no response to his authority in the least, and says, well, the Baron's never in some new taxes, so he's sending me around to gather them. I'll give you to maybe the end of the day. Thomas bristles. And he then turns and leaves. And this man continues to basically just drink and pay little attention to the heavy atmosphere that has kind of settled over this tavern.
For my edification, what barony are we in? Is it still Kerwal?
No, you guys are in the barony of Fetterland. I'm sorry. The barony's name is Racenfliot. I'll put it in our chat.
We were en route to like Vykaril main city, right?
Yes. The old capital, which is called Vykaril, just like the kingdom is. And this is a small barony that's kind of outside of the Lathelbrun territory. So, this is a neighboring barony to Kerwal. So this is probably a barony that that Dane would have at least heard of before. But it's a very small barony, and it's not a very powerful one. But they answer to House Lathelbrun.
So I think it's probably about this time that like Dane comes walking out of the common room, toweling his hands off on his tunic, having scrubbed them down after getting Sir John ready for sleeping. And he'll come out and kind of sigh and look around and then sort of catch the fact that everything seems miserable all of a sudden.
It kind of shoots that look at Tord and Thomas. He just kind of gives that one eyebrow raise. Puts his hands up in the air. Just kind of, okay. Who's this guy?
Yeah, I kind of give a look over to Tord and then to Ari, and then like to the only new person in the room. And then back to them, kind of like,
You can see Tord is like glaring at this new addition to the hall here, kind of like drumming his fingers on the table. Turning back to Ari. You did that to his hand.
I'm not proud of it now, but yeah.
But you did it. You did do it.
He was beating that horse. He was killing it.
Horses are beasts of burden meant to be beat by the man that owns them. You took his life away, Ori.
I did not take his life away, not like he was going to take the horse's life away. I merely hurt his hand. Hands healed.
You've seen it just as well as I had. He can't grab a sword. I don't know if he could grab a fork with that damn hand.
You're just like you humans. You think you own everything, that they're yours to own and to beat. It's an animal. I would thought of better of you.
An animal, Ori. I'm not a human. But I know the difference.
And they belong here just as much as we, to be free.
I seen how you cow to your superiors. Do they beat you too? But I don't see you maiming them. It's a chain of command. It's the way life works.
Tord, he didn't even try to calm the horse.
Zara was there.
I did not see her. All I saw was this horse tangled in brambles and him beaten to the death because it could not get free. That is not a man that deserves a horse.
And the assistance you provided was maiming him.
I could have flogged him to like he was flogging the horse, but I let him keep his life.
There's more than one way to help someone. That wasn't it.
I was a different person back then, Tord.
I should hope so.
So, Sir John seems to be asleep.
Dean, you're back. Why don't you join us?
Tord's gonna finish his glass of ale, kind of like aggressively slam it on the table. Edward, you need an ale? Dane, you want an ale?
Yes, please. I'll have another.
Yes. Did you want me to go get them?
Nope. I got it. I'm gonna get up and walk towards the bar.
The man that's wearing the livery of the local barony kind of watches you with a mild amount of interest as you have this small exchange with Ariana Shial that certainly grew louder than most of the other conversation in the room. And watches you as you get up and walk over to your drinks. It looks like he is contemplating trying to start something with you, but maybe he just hasn't worked up the courage yet.
Well, that's incredibly convenient, because on my way back, I kicked the leg of his chair.
Okay. Just make a strength roll for me.
All right. 23.
Good lord. Okay. Unarmed is like a single point?
It's
Plus
1
your
point.
strength?
Unarmed is 1 point plus your
Yeah.
strength. Yeah.
So do that. What do you got?
My strength is... I just looked at it. 4 damage total.
Okay. So you kick the leg of this chair, and it snaps. I mean, it just completely and totally just comes off with your foot. And there's this audible kind of splintering of wood, and that corner of his chair spills towards the ground, and he tumbles onto the floor, spilling his tankard all over himself and all over the floor. And you hear a few people kind of stifle laughter, and he kind of slowly picks himself up off the floor and is just drenched. You can hear it like dripping off of his chainmail.
Yeah, that was certainly unfortunate.
Sorry about that, mate. Didn't see you there.
You clumsy
Good thing
fucker.
You got that right. You don't get to be this size without kicking a few chairs.
You did it on purpose. Didn't you?
Why on earth would I do this on purpose? That's a waste of good ale on your tunic. You could probably wring it out, fill that cup back up.
Because you're a fucking turd, that's why.
What did you just say?
You're a fucking turd.
Before he can spit on me, I'm gonna smash this mug of ale against his fucking face.
All right. So, let's
I
have you
rolled
do
initiative.
that. No. Go ahead and make your attack. You're going to catch him off guard.
17 on the die for a total of 20.
Yes, you will absolutely contact. So go ahead.
Imagine this is an improvised weapon. Do you want like a D4?
Yeah, unless you're
I'm not proficient in mug.
Okay.
They do have a
yeah,
feat.
I'm sorry. I thought
There is a feat.
Yeah, I forgot that you were doing mug. I thought you were just punching him, but yeah.
4 on the die for a total of 7 points of damage.
Good lord. Okay. Let's see. 7 points. You clock this guy, and you see another tooth fly out. And while that might not be a huge deal for a lot of people, when you're talking ratios, for this guy, that's almost like a quarter of the remaining teeth he has. And it comes out this kind of rotted black and gray, almost blue in certain parts, tooth comes flying out and lands on the table in front of someone who kind of like recoils and kind of pushes away from the table. Surprisingly, he takes this punch rather well. Kind of turning back to you, and you can see that his lip just completely busted on the jagged mess that his mouth is, and he doesn't seem too concerned with it. He kind of dabs his bloody lip on the back of his sleeve. Let's roll initiative. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Ari got a 13. Tord with a 17. Dane with that 19. Oh, and Eddard. Excellent. The two of you, if you would, please just roll a d6. 2 and 3. Okay. So Dane, you will go first, and then Eddard. Just by a hair. Okay. So, however, Sir Least is the one who gets to go first. He got a 21 on his initiative. So he kind of wipes his bloodied lip on the back of his sleeve and reaches down to his hip toward and starts to put his hand on his sword. And then he looks at you and says, "Yeah." And he draws the blade. He puts his second hand on the handle and says, "You're under arrest, orc." Okay, he is going to ready an action. If you do anything aside from lay down your arms and surrender, yeah, right. He is going to swing at you. Okay, so that was him. Dane, it is now your turn.
Oh. So Dane was going to very calmly sort of stand up and try and talk to this old knight. But at the sword being drawn, I think Dane stands up a little faster than he intended and sort of has an effect of blowing the bench away from himself as he does, like that sort of like as the bench, screeches across the floor. But his intention is still to move towards this knight. And so with that sort of screeching, he's going to, I guess, aggressively move towards Sir Least, but without any weapons in his hand. I think we can all just calm down.
Stay where you're at.
Right?
Stay where you're at. You lot. I knew you was trouble.
You knew we were trouble? You just arrived and you've been drinking since you got here.
Oh. Smart, huh? I see.
The boy's got enough sense to brush his teeth.
Not all of our teeth are so easy to get to, orc.
It's a toothbrush. It's called a toothbrush.
Do you know who I am?
Am I supposed to?
Truthfully, I don't think we've been introduced.
This is Sir Tord, and you are?
He kind of straightens himself up when Tord is introduced as a knight. My name is Sir Least Gadgan. I serve the house of Fetterland. I'm the Shire of Elandshire. I'm the Reeve in charge here.
So I looked at Tord like, what?
I don't know, lad.
Sir, perhaps you've drank so much that you're confused. We met the Reeve moments ago.
Not the Reeve of the town, you dolt. I'm the Reeve of the Shire. I'm the sheriff, you daft bastard.
All right, now you just look like a drunk. You dare draw steel against me?
Yeah. And like I said, you're under arrest.
The way I see it, I merely kicked a chair.
So, are you going to arrest him by yourself?
Yeah. How does this work?
Is that your plan? Were you in fact going to arrest all of us by yourself?
Lads! You hear the creaking of the carriage outside and the shuffling of booted feet approaching the door.
Strange. It looks like you came here ready to arrest someone.
Like I said,
No,
I'm
or bully
collect-
someone.
I'm collecting taxes. You'd be surprised how many people don't want to pay their taxes.
You'd be surprised how many tax collectors are thieves. Or perhaps you wouldn't.
His face kind of falls at this blatant accusation. Are you questioning my honor?
Wait a second. I'm the dolt, and you don't know the difference between a declaration and a question.
All right.
Dane, he
Wizard.
probably didn't get any book learning.
You can be arrested too.
Hmm.
Maybe
For
the
what?
two of you can cuddle up in the dungeon. Hmm?
Oh,
I didn't know that you could arrest someone for kicking a chair.
or for insulting your would-be honor.
Well, we've just got a room full of bards, don't we? They all want to entertain. Hmm?
Actually,
Actually, what? Hmm?
No, he is a bard. He is actually a bard.
Arrest all of them. He kind of gestures his hand over the entire room.
No.
Eddard, write a song called Celeste Ruins the Feast.
Eddard actually has like a soft outburst before he straightens himself up. Yes, I'll get right on that.
The knights are beginning to move throughout the room, closing with each of you.
How many are there?
There are 4 knights and Sir Least.
Well, it is unfortunately not my turn in initiative.
Or mine.
I think it was your turn, Dane.
Yeah, but I suppose by this time moving and all this jack-jawing has probably taken my my turn.
Okay. That brings us to Eddard.
Yeah, I used my action to talk shit. No, I mean, are they well armed? Do they look
Yes.
any well armed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, their equipment doesn't look like it's probably in the best repair. Again, just looks like it's probably a slightly poorer barony, especially coming from the Lightnors just a couple of days before. But yeah, the knights are wearing plate mail, and
Right.
each one of them is carrying a great sword. So I mean, they definitely mean business. And again, there's no question like that these guys are just thugs.
Just thugs with nice armor, maybe.
Yeah.
Eddard kind of just looks to the room, like, are we really doing this? Is this really what's going to happen?
We can't go anywhere nice.
Now, lads, I think it's fair that I just go with the kind man. It seems I did cause a bit of a ruckus, lest we all have to go.
I wasn't prepared for anyone to go, if I'm being honest.
Well, I think you called it correctly when you said he... Well, never mind.
it goes down one of three ways, right? We fight, they lose. There's some sort of weird honor duel between one of us and this thing. Or they try and arrest you and they lose.
With this, Tor just like nods to you guys, like, all right, let's fuck these dudes up.
So were you doing anything edited, or were you holding for the moment?
Oh, if I get that look from Tord, I'm going to put my hand on my dagger.
Okay. It certainly looks like he's ready to tangle.
Yeah, if that's the case, I will ready an action. You can ready spells, right?
I think so. I think as long as it's a single action or a bonus action or whatever.
Okay, well, I will ready invisibility at 3rd level on myself and Ariana Shiel. If he attempts to strike, I will cast those spells upon us.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so you kind of begin the gesturing or whatever it is that you need to do to kind of weave the threads of magic. And there's that Mexican standoff kind of atmosphere where everybody's waiting for kind of the first strike to happen. The knights have spread themselves out through the room, kind of closing off with each one of you. And Sir Least is standing near Tord and Dane, his sword still very much pointed in Tord's direction. Suddenly, you hear a horn sound. From outside. And Least goes white. No. Damn it, no!
Would we recognize this?
I don't think so.
Is this like specific?
Yeah,
This
is it like a
just
specific horn pattern?
something
or
that
anything?
every town does?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
This is the horn itself probably is not any sound that you're exactly used to. This doesn't sound like a bullhorn or anything like that. It sounds like a different kind of instrument that's being blown in the same manner. Okay. Tord.
I think this whole time I've kind of like I don't have my hands like up submissively. I'm like kind of holding them up a little bit in front of me as if to react if he's doing something. And I'm going to cast command at second level, so two of these guys. I'm just gonna like kind of nod to the direction the horn came from. Go. He needs to make a wisdom saving throw, DC 14.
Okay. Is Sir Least one of the ones that you're targeting?
Yes.
Okay. This is a will save, you said?
Yep.
Okay. I'm pretty sure he's going to fail. And they, on the other hand... yeah. Okay. So, Sir Least already seems like that might have been where he was headed anyways. And this command has just driven the nail home. He's absolutely beginning to... You can see the tip of his sword already starting to dip, and he's started kind of shifting his weight towards the door already.
Yeah, so just as soon as it's his turn, he must spend his turn fleeing from me.
Exactly. The other knight, however, doesn't seem to have taken the the spell.
I'm not going to move. I'm not going to draw my weapon.
Okay. That brings us to Ariana Shiel.
Ari is now invisible. Is that correct? No, it didn't happen. Okay. She is not doing anything at this point. She is watching the altercation between this man and Tord, and then all these new knights that are walking through the room. She is ready, basically readying an action. If anything, whoever throws the first punch, then she'll get involved. Otherwise, at this point, she is just sitting and hoping this blows over, to be honest.
All right. The knights themselves move towards you, each one of you, and are going to do what they can to try to restrain you. They are producing not their swords at the moment, but sets of iron manacles, and are going to be attempting to place them upon each one of you. Now, I know the answer to this question already, but is anybody not resisting?
I was going to say that's my cue.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and resolve your ready to action first, Eddard, and then we'll see if they're able to restrain any of you after that.
So there's a moment where Eddard is kind of standing, I like to imagine probably back to back Ariana Shiel. And as they approach, Eddard just kind of whips up his new crimson red and royal blue cloak and just in a flourish covers his entire body and then covers Ari's entire body. And as it hits the apex and comes down, they're not behind the cloak anymore.
Yeah, the two knights that were nearest the two of you call out almost in unison, "Black magic! Witches!" All right, the two of you disappear from view. Are you taking any movement, any bonus actions? Oh, you were ready to action. Never mind. Okay, so they can no longer see Eddard and Ariana Shiel. So I don't think there's going to be any chance in hell that they're going to be able to restrain the two of you. So I'm not even going to roll. So let's see. To do restrain, I think first, I think it's going to be a grapple. All right. So Tord, we're going to handle yours first. So I need you to make either an acrobatics or an athletics roll, whichever you prefer.
I just rolled 17.
17 total?
Yeah.
Okay. He managed to get one of your wrists bound into this iron manacle. He rolled a total of 22 on that check. As he kind of reaches out and with more strength than you thought, grabs a hold of your forearm and puts this manacle in place and just with practiced ease hammers the pin into its place. And that's one of your hands that has been bound. For the time being, if you're going to attack with anything other than just a one-handed weapon in the hand that's free, you're going to be at disadvantage. All right, the one at you, Dane, same thing. You can make either an acrobatics or an athletics roll to oppose. Good lord, he just rolled another.
Good luck, Dane. 19.
Okay, I got a 19 on the die, so with his bonus figured in, you too have had one of your wrists, excuse me, bound by this iron manacle. These guys apparently know what they're doing. The other two have now drawn their great swords and have spun around to face back to back with one another, kind of trying to find where Eddard and Ariana Shiel have gone. They are going to ready actions. That was the 4 knights. Okay, Sir Least. Sir Least takes off. He doesn't drop his sword. Instead, he turns and, still gripping it tightly, runs out the door, screaming and yelling. And you immediately begin hearing the clash of steel against steel. Dane, it is your turn.
Do I hear the grunting of like this old Sir Least as he goes out there also? Like, is it obvious that he's part of that melee now out there?
Yeah, absolutely. The moment he stepped out of the threshold is when you started hearing, shouts and clashes.
Right. And just, oh man. So I'm not fully restrained yet, right?
No, just one hand.
All right, so the hand that is sort of in that manacle, I'll loop over and grab the chain of the other one he's trying to get on me. And I look at this deputy, this knight, and my eyes go solid black. And I go, I'm very sorry. And I will drop darkness on top of myself. So it's going to be 30 feet in any direction from me is now covered in magical darkness.
Okay. So yeah, this knight has just enough time to kind of lock eyes with you as your eyes kind of go solid black. And he shouts out, "He's a fiend! A fiend!" And then the whole room goes black. You can feel the panic beginning to rise in these knights, as well as the townsfolk who were kind of huddled to the corners. Okay, that was Dane. Eddard, your turn.
Gee, thanks, Dane. No, Eddard can't see anything, if that's the case. Oh, well, we were within 30 feet of each other? I would suppose so. I'm sure it's not a very large room.
Yeah, I think it's probably within 30 feet of him.
Okay, well, if that's the case, Eddard hits the floor on all fours and travels in a solitary direction to try and get his bearings in the room. He's looking for a wall.
Absolutely. Again, the room's not overly large, so you can absolutely find it with probably just your normal crawling speed.
Yeah, he just he goes to the walls of the room, and then he starts to make his way either left or right. I suppose it doesn't really matter. He's just searching for it's a one. Was it a one-story inn?
I think it has a second story, from what I remember.
Okay, well that would be probably where Sir John's at.
Yeah, I think so.
If it wasn't his full movement to crawl to the wall, he would use the rest of it to try and find either the door or stairs. Hopefully the stairs to make his way up to where John is.
Excellent. Do you have cunning action yet? As a rogue?
I don't think
rogue?
so. No, I'm just level 1 rogue.
Just level 1. Okay, so not yet. So yeah, you kind of find the base of the stairs, and that's about where you're able to get to, kind of huddled in the dark here. Okay. The clashing continues outside, and even though only Sir Least left the inn, there's at least 3 or 4 people who are engaged in this fight outside. And you hear the horses begin to whinny, and you hear the telltale sound of the reins being cracked on the back of these horses, and the carriage immediately kind of starts to creak and move out of this town with haste. Tord, it's your turn.
As this darkness envelops us, I think I'm like looking out the window, and perhaps that's how this guard gets a manacle on me. And not really knowing how this manifests, but as soon as the darkness hits, I disappear and reappear 30 feet away, preferably outside, as I cast Misty Step as a bonus action.
Excellent.
I can see.
So yes, you reappear outside in a place where you either were looking just as it went dark, or a place that you kind of noticed as you went in, you know, right beside the well, or, you know, what have you. And so you kind of disappear and appear in this space outside, and the sudden shift in like light for just a second kind of makes you, you know, kind of squint a bit. I don't know how. Fuck it. You look down, and this manacle is attached to your wrist, and there's about 4 or 5 links on this chain before there's a chain that's kind of like sliced in half, and that link kind of pivots and comes out of the full link that's next to it and kind of clatters to the ground. And just as that's happening, you kind of look up and see this carriage that is reinforced with iron banding. This is like a complete, effectively an armored carriage, and has the same heraldry painted on the outside of it that Sir Least has on his livery. And someone, a hooded individual, is whipping these horses into a frenzy, and it's riding out of town and starting to round the corner of buildings. Sir Least is not on it, however. He is just at the edge of the darkness, right outside the steps of the tavern, and he is surrounded by 3 individuals, all of them wearing hoods and masks over the lower part of their face. They have the look of woodsmen.
Is it just Sir Least fighting these guys? Like you said, there was like clashes of steel. Was anybody else
It's just him
fighting
by
these
himself.
guys?
He's all alone.
Are they saying anything to him? Or are they just cornering him?
No, he is cussing up a storm and trying his best to kind of down them. But they aren't saying a single thing.
I'm going to hopefully, because Sir Least is on the other side of this guy, I'm flanking. But I'm gonna try and cut one of these dudes down.
Okay. You can have advantage on the attack because you just appeared behind them.
And as I do so, my sword swinging down, my shield's still inside, so I'm using this with 2 hands. That is a soldier of the realm. And natural 20.
Okay. So that's a critical hit. So you're going to do max die damage plus your modifiers, and then rolled damage plus your modifiers a second time.
18 points of damage.
So what does it look like as you end the life of this woodsman?
It's not like cinematic at all. It's just I imagine this guy is like in like a leather tunic or something, and the bite of my steel cleaves him from his shoulder across his back, and as he kind of collapses, I'm still smiling that shit-eating grin that I had when I was talking to Sir Lease before. But like, oh, I have 2 attacks, by the way. So I cut this guy and attempt to swing on the other guy.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your second attack.
Disadvantage or no?
No, you should have advantage on this one as well. Again, I had no idea that you were there.
Total of 18.
Yes, that will hit.
If I can do anything, I can swing a fucking sword. 5 points of damage.
5 points. Okay. This one does not go down with this swing. However, he is gravely injured as you cut into his back, severing part of his cloak. He goes down to the ground to one knee, but he's not dead. The first one, however, is absolutely gone from this world.
That's
As
it for
you
my turn.
swing at the second one and he goes down, there's kind of like a rack focus as you see a figure round a nearby building and see that it's Sir Thomas. And he looks at the scene and looks at you. Tord, no! Ariana, y'all. It's your turn.
So Ari is going to, she's in the midst of the darkness, so she's going to try to use the sound of the fight outside as a guide and head that way. Hoping to find the exit out of this tavern.
And I think dark vision can see through the kind of darkness in you? No, it does not?
No.
Okay. Alright, so, I guess roll me a survival. See if you can just kind of blindly just make your way to the door.
That'll be a 17.
Yes, okay. So maybe you have like a slight, I don't know, paranoia when you enter buildings, or at least maybe human buildings, and you kind of make note of where like the exits are and things whenever you first get there.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, the shit has hit the fan, and you've already mapped out your path back to the door before you lose the ability to see. And you very, very quickly follow, stepping out of the open doorway, almost stumbling right into Sir Least. Just kind of at the edge of darkness, you can see just as Tord basically cuts down what looks like a second one of these guys. He doesn't look like he's dead yet.
And I hear Sir Thomas yell to Tord, "No, Tord."
Yes, you do.
Well, in that case, no weapons, but purely fists and feet and knees and all sorts of elbows and stuff. Ari is going to attack Sir Least with the intention of knocking him out.
Okay.
So that is a 23 to hit.
Yes, that will absolutely hit him.
Okay. Unarmed strike. So that's 9 points of bludgeoning, I guess, is... and then... Yeah, she's going to blow a key point to do a flurry of blows to do 2 more unarmed on this guy.
Okay.
Oh, that's not so good. So that'll be a 12 and a 9.
Both of those are going to land harmlessly against his chain shirt. You can feel like the ripple of the chain kind of absorbing the blow.
Okay, and then so she has a extra attack as well, so she's going to continue to hit. So one more, maybe this one's like a knee or something. probably. That's a dirty 20.
Yes, it will hit.
So, oh, that's not so for 5 points.
5 more. Okay. So he is completely caught unaware as you just hammer the back and sides of him. And you can feel his body, though he seems to be made of pretty sturdy stuff, he's definitely older. And the kinds of impacts that you're leaving are likely going to leave a lasting effect on his body. You can feel the bones and things cracking underneath a lot of these blows. But he is still fighting, if through nothing else other than just tenacity.
So while I'm landing these blows, I think she's going to like kind of whisper as well when one of them gets close enough. Surrender, or I will keep this up.
No, the Baron's gonna hear of this. He's gonna raise this down to the ground, he will. You just wait. You're all dead men and elves. Okay. That was Ari. Alright. The knight that was holding on towards the other side of towards Manacle is now not quite sure exactly what happened because he couldn't see it. But he knows that the slack has gone out in the chain that he's holding on to. Damn it! He kind of turns and starts to fumble his way towards the door. Wow. Okay. Apparently he didn't fumble so much. He rolled a 20, so he kind of turns and strides towards the front door of this place and comes out right beside you, Ariana Shial. Surprised to kind of find you all standing there, he reaches down and draws his greatsword and is going to attempt to attack you, Ari. What is your AC?
It is currently 16.
16, okay. Okay, that is a 16 on the first one. And the second one is another 19 on a die. So he's going to hit you twice with this greatsword of his. The first strike is going to bite into your flesh for 7 points of slashing damage. As maybe he catches your forearm or something as it's kind of being retracted from punching Sir Least. The second, which follows very quickly behind, is another 7 points. Okay. The knight that is still attached to Dane. He's going to try. Oh, excuse me. As hard as it is to see anything at the moment, with disadvantage, he's going to attempt to get that other wrist manacled up. So go ahead and roll another acrobatics or an athletics. You will not be at disadvantage for this, though. It should be pretty easy to avoid.
Uh, 19 again.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, he only got a 9. So you can tell that while you don't know where he is, as far as...
No, I can see.
Oh, you can. Perfect.
Yeah,
that explains exactly.
Right, it's just like a... No.
Yeah, and he's just flailing, trying to, grab a hold of your other arm and just failing miserably. Okay. The other two are also making their way towards the door, which is very bottlenecked at the moment. So yeah, there's this window in the picture that has Sir Least. I'm going to show it again real quick here. So you can see this kind of broken lattice work. The two knights that are stuck inside are going to start destroying more of that lattice work to try to step out of that window, since the door is so congested at the moment. Okay. That brings us back to Sir Least. Oh, Sir Least, what are you going to do? Okay. Here's what he's going to do. He bends down from kind of the blows that Ari's been delivering, and as he does so, he scoops up a hand of soft dirt and throws it in your face, Tord. He has an ability called Dirty Fighting. As a bonus action, you need to make or he's taking a bonus action. You need to make a dexterity saving throw, please.
So as my aura of protection for being the greatest class of paladin, I get a plus 3 to all saving throws.
Nice. That would help.
24.
Okay. But you see it coming from a mile away. I don't imagine that Tord is unused to dirty tactics with fighting. And you're able to basically kind of turn your head enough and close your eyes just in time that this dirt pretty much just kind of like smatters up against your face and falls harmlessly away, not managing to blind you for a moment. But he is very quick with the follow-up attack, the two attacks with his longsword immediately after. What is your AC?
19.
Okay. The first one's going to hit with a 22. Oh my god, he just rolled a second 22. Jeez Louise. Okay. And he's versatile, so the first one is going to deal 7 points of slashing damage. As though the dirt wasn't enough to render you like confused or stunned or anything, he bites into you with these follow-up attacks. Like I said, the first one does 7. The second does a max of 12 slashing. As he lands 2 solid blows with absolute practice with this blade. He is then going to turn and try to run the opposite direction of where the carriage is now rumbling out of town. So that will open him up to opportunity attacks for both Tord and Ariana Shial if you wish to take them.
Oh, yeah.
16 to hit.
A 16 will hit.
I got a 17 on the die, so I imagine I hit 2.
Yes. Yes.
So that's 7 more points.
7 more. Okay.
I'm going to Divine Smite if I hit with a melee attack.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my other D8? So, just normal roll, he takes 12 points of slashing, and then 9 more points of radiant. I think it's radiant.
What was the slashing again?
12.
Okay, so 21 points total?
Yep.
Goodness.
Yeah, and then 9 radiant. 9 of it was radiant, rather.
Right. Okay, so... Okay. Tord, what does it look like as you fell Sir Least Gadkin?
I think I just run him through. Like, see the separation of his chainmail as it kind of like meets the girdle, and I just I don't have my shield, so it's like I kind of lift this guy up with my sword and let him drop to the ground.
Yeah, and he kind of slides off of your blade onto the dirt and just begins to immediately pool out blood around him. Okay, that is where we're going to take our break. So, 5 to 10 minutes. Go to the bathroom, refill your drinks, smoke them if you got them, etc., etc. If you're
Don't turn off your camera.
Yeah, don't turn off your camera, please. Thank you for that, Steve. If you're tuning in this evening, thank you very much for watching. Sit tight, and we will be right back. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. The character playing the player playing the character of Dane has stepped away from the camera for just a minute. Hopefully he'll be back soon. But we're going to go ahead and roll right into the second part of tonight's session. So, Sir Least Gadgan now lies in a thickening pool of his own blood just outside the tavern in the small little seaside village of Aelin. One woodsman stands nearby, his sword now leveled in the direction of Tord. His wounded friend, done so by Tord's sword. Is being helped to his feet by Sir Thomas Kane.
Have we stepped out of initiative?
Yes. Unless you are continuing to fight.
No, I would like to help Thomas pick this guy up and try and heal him.
Okay. So, the one thing I did forget about the other knights.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
Okay. I think they're going to flee from the village unless the intention is to try to stop them.
Probably should.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. That was my bad for just forgetting that they were...
They were less obnoxious.
That's true. Okay. So, you were taking him down, but it was his turn.
Right.
Yes.
Caused that. Okay, so
I believe we're on Eddard.
I think it's Dane, but yeah, we're gonna skip him for now since he's in his darkness spell. So Eddard, why don't you go ahead and go?
We out of initiative? Yay.
No.
No, we're still in initiative?
Yeah, because I forgot that the knights were still around.
Oh, yeah, those guys.
Yeah. So we're going to stay in initiative for now.
So, what I would like to do is, if I can hear I'll look Dane's back. Just have him after. If I can hear the clashing of the steel outside, Eddard has a moment where he kind of hesitates on climbing the steps and instead decides that Sir John will be fine for another 5 minutes, but his friends might be in imminent danger. So he will kind of do the same thing Ari did and follow the noise towards the doorway. It'll probably take him like at least a turn or two to find it because he's not the most coordinated fellow, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah. You can try a survival roll if you'd like. To see
Sure.
if you can kind of navigate your way through without too much of an issue.
Would that be a disadvantage because of the... Well, I mean, if you're using hearing, I guess not, huh?
Mm-mm.
Okay, one moment. Survival. Yeah, fat chance. It's a 5.
So, yeah, you're like, I think I might know the way, and you take like half a step and you catch a table kind of right in your lower gut, kind of right across your belt line almost. And you kind of like, oh, nope, that's not the way, and you kind of have to shuffle your way around it. So it seems like it might take you some time.
No problem.
Okay. Since the two of you were in the same order anyways, and we have not moved beyond that, Dane, why don't you go ahead and take your turn now?
I still have this this thug of a guard on the other end of this manacle at this point. And they do obviously look like they're mostly just thugs, right? Like there's not a whole lot of gallantry to them, I suppose. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, they certainly seem like they are legitimate knights, but I mean, these are the kinds of knights that you've heard stories about. That they may wear the mantle of knight, but they don't behave the way a knight should.
Right. Oh man. All right. I'm going to try to take a page out of Ari's book here, and I'm going to attempt to remove his hand that's holding the manacle. Like not cut it. I'm going to attempt to just like put my sword through it.
Okay.
And I don't know what that would require in special, but we'll figure it out.
Just make an attack.
23.
Yes, absolutely. We'll make contact. So roll your damage.
8 points of damage.
You say 8?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. He just howls this kind of reverberant, like, scream that kind of echoes in the metal of his helmet, and recoils, dropping the chain and the other manacle that is on the other side of the one that's attached to your wrist, and you can see that his hand is messed up bad, really, really bad. He's probably got like his pinky finger like almost dangling. If it weren't for the glove, it may not still be attached.
Sure. I don't make any noise as I do that. There's not like a cry of anything. It's just a more of a matter of fact, like a very judgmental sort of chopping block swing.
Okay. He has released your manacle, so though you have one of them attached to your wrist, you are free. You're not being held at all anymore. Do you wish to take any movement?
Yeah, I'll move towards the door that I can see. And I guess like the camera would see is like Dane moves towards this door, we can see this black orb sort of lift off the walls, and there are these townsfolk just sort of plastered to it in horror as they are let back into light as that orb just moves with him.
Yeah, many of them seem almost frightened of the return of the light, because it's so sudden and without visible without visible cause to them. They are definitely freaking out at the moment. Okay. The two woodsmen outside, as I said, the one that's still healthy has kind of rounded on you, Tord, and it looks like he wants to attack you. It really, really looks like he wants to start swinging this short sword that he has at you, but Thomas has come up behind. No, stop it! What are you doing, Tord?
Is it my turn?
It is not your turn yet.
Okay. Mistake.
Damn it. He kind of looks at the dead Least, kind of laying on the ground, and kind of as he's helping this injured woodsman up off the ground. This is a mess. It's such a mess. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Tord, it is now your turn.
I will attempt to reach down and help this guy I maimed up, and in doing so, if I'm unimpeded, I will give him 20 points of healing via lay on hands.
He certainly recoils at first as you reach down towards him. And Thomas kind of gives you a look like, trying to make sure that you're doing something non-hostile now towards this individual. And then he finally sees that you're...
I think that to kind of aid that, I'm going to drop my sword after I killed Sir Least. Like, let go of it as he's kind of impaled. And then, I'm making eye contact with this guy that's got his sword leveled on me. Like, if he swings, I get it. This guy I'm helping up, like, yeah, I also get it. I fucked up here, guys. Let me...
But as you administer your lay on hands magics kind of coursing through him, you can see that he's no longer angry. He's kind of confused as to what exactly is going on.
You and me both, man.
He kind of looks to you and then to Sir Thomas at the dead least on the ground, trying to puzzle all of this out.
So as he's kind of helped to his feet, I will let go and, kneel very slowly to retrieve my sword, and that's it.
Okay. Sir Thomas kind of points to the others, the woodsmen that are nearby, and he says, Them! And points to the knights that are still standing, who I believe are now beginning to be enveloped in darkness, as the darkness is starting to creep out of the door and cover more ground outside now. Ariana Shiel, you're up.
Yeah, there's this knight that just gave me 2 nice slashes to go with the other few I had. So she is going to round upon this guy. All sense of trying to keep death out of the question is gone now that Sir Least lies there pooling, like in a pool of blood. So she is going to strike this man with one hand while she's also drawing her dagger and going to try to thrust it into him. So the 2 attacks there.
Okay.
So the first one is a 24 to hit.
Yes, absolutely.
So that would be maybe a knee or something for 5 points of, I guess, magical bludgeoning.
Okay.
And the other one's a 21.
Yes, that's also a hit.
So this is the dagger for 7 points of piercing.
Okay, so it's a 12 total. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm also going to blow another key point to level 2 more blows with, I guess, hand and foot.
Okay.
Or maybe not.
On this dude.
You bet she is. She turns and does a roundhouse. That will be a 17 on the roundhouse and a 13 with the follow-up punch.
Okay. The roundhouse will land, but the other will not. Or rather, it will land, but it will just cling against his plate armor.
Okay. 6 points.
Okay. You can hear him just grunting and groaning again inside of this metal tin can. And he's, his knee buckles with one strike, and you kind of spin his torso back in a kind of an uncomfortable position with another, but he's maintaining his grip on this rather long sword that he's wielding, and is getting back to his feet after every blow. It is now their turn. So, the one that Dane cut his hand, he is a little preoccupied at the moment. Still can't rightly see very well, so he's going to cool his jets for this round. The one that you just attacked, Ari, is going to turn around and try to return the favor with 2 swipes.
My AC is now 18, because I have a Kensei weapon in my hand.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Okay, so the first one, just you're able to just slide out of the way, and it kind of, hits the ground, and there's a small, scattering of small pebbles and dirt as you missed. The second one, however, comes up out of the dirt and slashes you across the, the smaller part of your, the lower part of your abdomen. Well, he likes this number. 7 points of slashing. Okay, so that takes care of 2 of them. The other 2 were the ones that headed through the window. They are now finishing, climbing out of this latticework window, and kind of step free and look down and see that Least is dead. They look up and see that the carriage is gone, and they look at you standing with these woodsmen at the front of this tavern, as well as the enveloping darkness that is now kind of looming forwards, and they both run for the woods. So they are going to take the dash action and move 60 feet. So I'm going to make a note of that. Okay, that is the knights. We're back around to the top with Dane.
All right, so the one guy in here holding his hand, the other 2 have gone out through the window, and then the hustle and bustle outside seems to have at least died down for the largest part, correct?
It seems like you can see. So Ari is engaged with one of these knights, who is badly wounded but is still fighting with her. The other 2 knights went out the window, and it looks like they are turning and fleeing.
All right, well, I think there's a very shadowy moment that crosses Dane's brain for a second, and we see this inside of his head for a moment, this grizzled image of this road knight that we had seen just recently, one that Tord had dispatched, and you hear him tell Dane, "Well, you can't let him get away." And so Dane's hand shoots out, and a bolt launches from Dane's hand, and with a 19 to hit one of the fleeing knights.
Absolutely will.
Seven, 14, 19 points of radiant damage.
So this bolt strikes this guy square in the back, right between the shoulder blades, and he calls out, "Ow!" and falls forward, and his companion next to him reaches over and tries to help him back to his feet, and you can tell that this guy is still alive, and he's kind of grabbing a hold of the tunic of his friend trying to get himself back to his feet. And when it's apparent that this guy was in enough pain that he's not able to get up and start running right away, the second knight just abandons him and moves on beyond him. Eddard.
Going for that door. Should I roll again or
No. If you're going to spend your entire turn trying to do so, you absolutely can make your way in out the door. Unless you want to try to roll again and make it out and then still be able to take an action.
Yeah, let's do that.
Jeremy, can I just drop the darkness at the end of my round?
I think you can. I think
Yeah,
it's
so
just dismiss.
It is. I'm more meant. Is it okay for me to do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. Yeah. So I think in that moment, like Dane just collapses to his knees, and the darkness just sort of like turns to smoke and just goes away.
Letting me loose, I see. All right. Letting loose the caged wombat here. No, so Eddard is looking for the door, and suddenly the darkness dissipates, and he has a clear view outside. How many of the soldiers are left?
So currently, you just see the one that is fighting Ari just outside the door. The other two that went out the window have turned and are moving off, so they're far enough out of the building that you would have to actually make it outside to be able to see them.
Okay, well, if that's the case, I'm going to close with, or behind the one that is engaged with Ari, pull the dagger from the sheath and go for an attack there. So would I have advantage there since I'm still invisible?
Yes, absolutely.
$17 on the die. Plus 5, 23.
That'll do it. Yep.
Okay. So let's roll this. That's 6, and I get sneak attack since I was invisible. 10, and I'm also going to spend a point of bardic inspiration to use psychic blades. Yikes. 16, 17. 23 points of damage. It's not often I get to do that.
Okay, so what does that look like?
So there's like a moment, Ari, when you're tussling with this soldier, and you feel like resistance pushing from his back, and suddenly there's just like this burst of purplish like haze coming from his back, and it kind of lights up the surrounding area, and it falls along like a silhouetted version of Eddard, and then he comes into full view. And yeah, this guy is like, looks like a normal dagger wound, but it's like pouring out this strange purple fog.
And the knight just crumples into a heap between the two of you, kind of letting out this kind of whimpering like exhale.
You see the look on Eddard's face, and his eyes and mouth are also with this same foggy purple haze coming within. And then he kind of just snaps back into it and looks down at the guy. Where are the rest?
Were you speaking to Ari?
Yeah.
Yeah, this Ari would look around because she had been focused on Sir List and this guy who attacked her from the back.
So looking around, both of you can spot the one that's kind of been taken to his knee with this kind of obvious like arcane scorch on his back, and the other one that's just a few paces in front of him that's just running as fast as he can off into the woods. Okay.
Okay, I think I have something real quick if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
I have a feat called Warcaster
Mhm.
that allows me to use a reaction to cast a spell.
I think that's only if they trigger an opportunity attack from you.
No, yeah, you're
Double
right.
check.
You're right.
Okay. Because I had that with one of my characters. I think that's how that works.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, at this point, they were definitely not close to you whenever you exited the tavern, so they wouldn't trigger that. Okay, so that was Eddard. Okay, the two woodsmen. Seeing that the situation here at the tavern seems to be in order, they both sheath their short swords and draw longbows and begin moving after the two knights that are retreating into the woods. Each one of them is going to fire a singular arrow in their direction. Okay, one of them hit. And the one that was just getting back onto his feet after having been hit in the back with Dane's spell has no chance. I mean, he gets all the way to his feet, takes maybe another half a step before this arrow thunks into the back of his skull, pinning his helmet to his head, and he just goes over sideways into the underbrush. The other one, however, is either far enough away or deep enough into the growth that the arrow just kind of through leaves and twigs and branches, but doesn't make any purchase. Tord.
You said this guy was like 60 feet away from me, or us now? He
Yes.
dashed. Could I draw my longbow and loose an arrow?
Sure.
All right.
Sounds like fun.
A party indeed. 15 on the die for a total of... Okay.
It will be enough to hit. Unless you have a deficit.
No, I do
didn't
not.
think so.
I never used this weapon. 8 damage.
Okay.
Piercing.
It's the first time that he's been hit. So that, again, that shot kind of thunks into his shoulder, and he kind of stumbles sideways into a tree for a second before he kind of puts his hands out to kind of push himself off of this tree and continues to try to run through the pain. I think you have extra attack, don't you?
I do.
So if you'd like to take a second shot, you can.
Oh, most certainly would. Natural 20. These dice are great.
Okay.
All right, so 19 damage.
Okay. So, yeah. How do you kill him with your second arrow?
I'm not being fancy here. It pierces the back of his chainmail.
Yeah, you hit him on the left side of his back, more than likely going into his heart. And he just kind of goes off of his feet for just a second, kind of flies forward with a little bit of momentum, and then just like a dead fish, just belly first into the dirt, and bounces, and then comes to a rest. There is one knight remaining inside the tavern, and he is grabbing a hold of his hand, just screaming, and let's see, which hand was it? Okay. It was not his sword hand, so he is going to draw a blade. Well, damn. The only thing they have is a greatsword and a crossbow. So he is going to... He's going to move to the door and bend down and pick up Sir Least's longsword and level it at the group of you near the door, but kind of take a defensive stance. He's going to take the dodge action. Okay. Wait a second. I don't think they should have been going yet. Sorry. Tor just went. Ari, it's supposed to be your turn. Sorry.
That's okay. You can come to me. So is he outside here now?
No, technically your turn goes before he would have done that.
Sorry.
So you can kind of see him moving towards the front door.
And there's still a bunch of people inside?
Not a bunch of people. There's a handful of them, maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think she's gonna oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, okay. She'll go. He's striding towards the door and where they are, and so she's going to meet him. She's going to lash out at him with like a kind of like a side strike with her hand, and try to kick him as well. She's not using the dagger at this point. She's just using her bare hand and knees at this point. So the hand is a 22 and the other one's a 10. So she'll miss on the second attack.
Yeah. The first will land and the second will not.
So that's 6 points of bludgeoning.
Okay.
Yeah, she's gonna another key point and do 2 more almost
Slap
like
attacks.
quick jabs. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, that's 17 and a 17.
Both of those, no, both of those are going to miss. Barely. But they will glance off of his plate mail.
Okay, that is her turn.
Okay.
But her AC is 18 still.
Okay, excellent. The first 2 strikes land and certainly kind of rock his world for a bit. But he certainly seems to still be kicking and very, very almost like a wounded animal. Like he's just at this point he's just going to fight until he can't anymore. Excuse me. He is unarmed. He has a great sword, but you can tell like he knows like he can't wield it currently, so he's just not even going to attempt it. He reaches over to grab a metal stein that's on the bar, and is going to looks like he's going to use that to try to clock you with it. But as he reaches for it, one of the nearby townsfolk reaches out and grabs a tankard and slides it out of his reach. And he turns and kind of looks. What? This is treason! The remaining townsfolk in this room gang up on this guy. They grab a hold of his limbs and all wrestle him down to the ground and forcibly start to strip his helmet off and his weapons off of him. And they're smashing stools and tankards and plates. They're pretty much mauling this guy at this point. Okay. So, this is going to take us out of combat. If nothing is done, the townsfolk will finish off this last night. Fatally so. Outside, Sir Thomas Kane is looking at you, Tord, with this kind of bewildered shock. He just kind of looks at you and says, Tord, what happened? What did you do?
I killed a few men.
You killed a few men. You killed the sheriff.
Well, to be fair, it looked like you were already starting to do that.
No. I might want to have done so, but this is going to bring the Baron down on Elon. He now knows that we are involved.
Well, hold on. And I'll raise my one manacled hand. All you gotta find is this one's brother, and you're scot free. I submit to the Reeve of the Realm.
Toward you, I can't let you do that.
Well, it really was me that put us in this pickle.
You don't understand. Baron Federlin is... He's very angry right now. There's a lot going on in Elon. We've been stirring up some trouble ourselves. He's not exactly happy at the moment, and if you land in his lap as a cause of any part of all of this, he's gonna execute you. He's gonna make a show of it.
I see. I suppose I shouldn't expect any less. Well, Thomas, you were always the smart one. What should I do?
He kind of looks around at the situation, kind of scratches this beard that he's grown. He looks to the two woodsmen who are standing nearby, and the two of them kind of look at him expectantly, like... And he nods his head. He says, oh, I was hoping that it wouldn't come to this yet, but I think it's time that something was done about Baron Federlin. Will you join us? Take this fight to him? End this?
I unfortunately cannot pledge the aid of my companions.
I understand.
But if I can help, I think Zara would like that.
He smiles. And he kind of extends his forearm towards you.
In the almost habitual way, I clasp I clasp his full forearm, high up near the elbow. I'll see what I can do with them. I mean, you guys are right here, so
yeah. All of you have heard this entire conversation play out. It'll be good to have you. He kind of looks to the rest of you. Well, you all seem pretty handy in a fight. There's going to be plenty of that. What do you say?
Ari? Eddard kind of gives a slight smile.
I think Ari, at this point, she'll walk up to Tord. She's going to punch you. Not in the face or anything, but she's going to punch you in the arm.
Roll to attack.
Thought we weren't going to start anything. That's what you said. Don't start anything.
Are you just going to lecture me?
Damn straight I'm going to lecture you. You like to lecture me all the time.
Well, to be fair, you're right.
I was just stop right there. And she'll turn to Thomas. Whatever he started, we'll help you finish. Well, at least I will. Eddard?
You know I have no choice but to stand beside this guy. He kind of walks over to Tord.
So, Masaka Tord, an elf, and some troubled
Librarian.
librarian. Well, he's the strangest librarian I've ever met. That's for sure. No offense intended.
None taken.
You, two of your number, openly use magic as if you have no care who sees. Is that wise?
Well, I don't really know if you've noticed, but it really doesn't matter what we do. We get in trouble either way.
I see. Well, if you're looking for trouble, you've certainly come to the right place.
Why do I feel like I keep hearing that?
Okay. So, over the next evening, over the next hours, you are helped with getting rid of the bodies of these knights. They strip the armor and the weapons off of them. They burn their livery. And you're told that...
Can I actually tell them not to burn all of them?
Sure. So there were 4 of them total. How many of them would you like to keep?
2.
2.
You see, Thomas, we forcefully removed some ogres not too far away from here. Trolls. Perhaps we could use that to an advantage. Play this off as something else. Just an idea. Nothing in stone.
Maybe, but that bastard was shrewd. More than likely he knew where they were. If they don't report back, well, he's certainly not going to be bringing back the taxes. And he kind of laughs and looks kind of off in the direction that the carriage had rode. I imagine he'll put the blame squarely on Elin.
After he says that, I throw the deliveries in the fire. No sense keeping them.
Okay. So, like I said, over the course of the evening, it's kind of explained to you that these people are mercantile trade kind of drives this village, but it's usually river trade that's done. They travel up and down the river, but recently, the Baron has seen fit to chain the river, and is demanding very hefty tolls from any of the barge merchants that sail up and down the river. And now that they have stopped using the river as often, now he has started coming around with this carriage of his and collecting further taxes on just the people for being here, essentially. And has been getting increasingly worse. And there is a collection of individuals who have decided to resist the Baron and what he's doing. And essentially, they are called the Merry Men of Aelin Shirewood. And their leader is Thomas Kane. So they were intending on stealing this carriage while he was inside drinking. When the knights were called in to try to handle the situation that all of you were providing, that was just too ripe of an opportunity, and they pulled the trigger on jumping on the carriage and trying to get it out of there. So they are eager, to say the least, to count the group of you amongst their number now, and they're going to start laying out a plan for how to deal with this Baron. But that's something that we're going to get to in next session. There's one other thing that I would really, really like to touch on before we quit for the evening. And that is, if I might take a small amount of artistic license, toward later on in the evening, at some point, would it be feasible that you have pulled out this doll that Thomas had mentioned?
Only if I was utterly alone and not being watched by anybody.
Excellent. So, late at night, by the fire, I think. You're trying to keep this hidden, just kind of in your own shadow, kind of looking at this by the firelight. Ariana Shiel, why were you up at this hour of night?
I was up because I was tending to my wounds that have never fully healed and that caused me pain. And I needed a moment of privacy, and so was looking for it, and would have come to the fire, in fact, because I was looking for a very, very hot rock that I need.
So you approach this fire, seeing Tord sitting by it, thinking nothing is amiss. Tord, you're kind of surprised as Ari sneaks up. Again, she's very quiet. I would imagine probably naturally Ari is probably quiet. So she's almost just there before you even realize that she was approaching. And Ari, roll a perception check for me, if you would, please.
Tord, you're lucky. I rolled a 2 on the die, so that's a 7.
Okay. Tord, if you would, what is like hand stuff that's
Sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand. Yep, that's the one.
What's the skill with the hands?
The thingy with the hands.
15 on the die for a total of 16.
So you managed to kind of pull this out of the field of vision before Ari can see what it is. Ari, it looked like he was examining something, looking at something, but he moves it out of the way as you approach this fireplace. How does that exchange go?
Oh, I did not expect to see you here. Why are you up so late?
Contemplation. Reflection. Tord's shoulders kind of drop and his head bows.
Would it have anything to do with the man we just met today? There seems there's a story there.
Thomas. I've known Thomas for a long time. His family too.
Family?
Well, his sister. Zara.
You've mentioned her today. And she's your family?
By marriage. She was my wife. Once.
And I think with that, Ari probably sits down uncharacteristically heavy on like the log or the bench, kind of angled towards you. You're married.
Aye, for a time.
You do not seem happy.
No, not really. She's dead.
Oh, Tord, I'm sorry.
The lives of humans are short, I imagine, at least to you.
Hi.
Well, we Angorian folk, well, we don't live that long either.
Well, she would have still been young.
Would have.
Tord, what happened?
We were just kids, really. This was a few years ago. We had a small cottage in the woods not far, a few days' ride from here. And it was peaceful, nice for a time. She practiced questionable magics. They didn't seem wrong. They didn't seem this black magic that everyone speaks of, but, well, not everyone sees it that way. She healed people. She helped people. She knew things and could see things that I couldn't. I wasn't always this happy-go-lucky ball of joy you see before you. We fought, as all those in love do. One day I stormed off. She had made this. And I'll pull out the doll and its crude representation of me. I didn't know what it meant. I don't know what it's for, but I didn't like it. I needed some time to think, so I left. I don't know how long I was gone. But something brought me back home. And she was gone. And our hovel was on fire. I must have dragged her out. Who knows who heard her cry for help? I didn't. But I followed the tracks back to town. And they had burned her on a pyre. And I was too late.
Tord, I am sorry for your loss. I can't even imagine what you are going through right now.
I've been going through this for a long time.
Seems there is more to you than one would think.
No. Not me, not simple old Todd, the road knight with no direction and nowhere to go.
This hatred for the magics. It is a curse on this land. I've got to do something. It's not right. People like your wife being killed for just being themselves.
I think there's a lot wrong. A lot wrong with this world.
We'll do our part. And Ari would actually stand up at this point and get the rock that she came here for. She's kind of feeling a little uneasy, I guess, awkward a little bit with what Tord has just shared and how close to home it kind of hit because of what had happened earlier with a lady she hadn't even met yet. But it kind of brings back those memories of her son. And she gathers the rock and as she leaves, Tord, she puts her hand on your shoulder. We'll see this through together. And your brother, I guess that's what he's called, Thomas? I am sorry for what I had done. And she'll leave and go back into the tavern or wherever they were staying.
I think Tord just gazes into the fire, reliving whatever tragedies are in his mind.
As we pull away from Tord, we follow Ari back to her room. The common room. Ari, you enter back into the common room and you prepare yourself for meditation, sleep. Elves and Rosford sleep. And just before you get into this bed, you notice there's something lying on the pillow. And when you look closer, it's a doll made very much the same as the one that Tord showed you. However, this one is in your likeness. And it has pins and needles in its legs. That is where we're going to end tonight's session. So thank you everyone so very much for tuning in this evening. Thank you to these wonderful, wonderful players for once again just delivering on every single note. I love this campaign so much, and I love playing with these people. Eli, we missed you tonight, brother. Hopefully you can be back next session. If not, hopefully the session after that. But I'm going to throw things back to the players so that they can do an outro. Once again, plug anything that they would like to plug, and then we're going to call it an evening. So first up, Steve.
Hey everybody, I'm Steve. I played Dane, who was uncharacteristically quiet tonight, so we'll see what that means. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Jeremy, as always, excellent game. I appreciate it. I don't really have anything to plug other than, again, I will say, beginning of next year, we do have a special project coming up with Jeremy and myself, and we'll let you know more about that as we get to it. So thank you very much.
Yes, I'm very excited. Very, very excited to get that started. Okay, next up we have, let's go with Josh.
Hello, you beautiful people. My name is Josh. I run the YouTube channel Roll the Bones. You can find me there, Roll the Bones on YouTube, or at Roll the Bones TV on Twitter. Tonight I played again Eddard Bainton of Warrington. Got to use his ultra finishing move on that guy that was probably going to die anyway. But it was quite the spectacle, I'm sure. It was a wonderful game. Jeremy always with the twist endings. I love it. Always keeps you guessing. Yeah, like to echo the sentiments about Eli. Can't wait to have you back, man. Thanks everybody for watching, and everybody who watches in the future. It's been a real pleasure.
I can echo that 100%. If anybody who is mentioning a channel, you should be able to find the links to those channels in the description of this video down below. Certainly, please do go check them out. Okay, next up we have Baron.
Hey everyone, I'm Baron. I played Masaka Tord, the sometimes inconsistent orc paladin who has trouble living by his own words. Come hang out with me and Steve on Wednesday, October 30th, as we do some spoopy stuff with Halloween. Should be a good time, and really excited to get back to streaming. So please, by all means, come give us a view.
Excellent. Okay, and last but certainly not least, Karen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching this. This was an amazing little game, and I'm now, again, aptly on pins and needles for the next session. So we'll see what that all means. And Steve, I just have to say, you tease. You should tell us more now, because I demand it. Anyway, thank you, everyone. This was I enjoy playing with you guys every month. This is my I'm not even gonna say guilty pleasure. This is my pleasure. I love this game. It's dear to my heart. So, and can't wait to have you back, Eli. So, thank you, everyone.
Fantastic. Yeah, you guys, I can't say good enough things about you. Again, every time you sit down to play this game, you take what I'm throwing at you and not only take it in stride, but carry it above and beyond whatever I had hoped. So thank you very, very much for putting as much of yourselves into this game, these characters, and the story that they're going through each and every month. I sincerely do appreciate it. Oh my goodness gracious, things are falling apart. No, okay. And anybody who has tuned in this evening, I also appreciate you doing that, hanging out with us this evening. And if you watch in the future, I also appreciate that. So yeah, stick around. There's lots more to come on the channel. And yeah, that's about all I can think of. So until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.